Hello and welcome to the next parts of Let's Play Modded Skyrim. We have got the quests from the Greybeards to go and see Ustengrav and collect the Horn of Jürgen Windcaller.
It's so nice to just talk a little, you and I. I was just thinking, would you be interested if I told you a little about myself?
Go on then.
There are so many things I'd like to tell you about. I really don't know where to start. At the same time, I find it hard to talk, as there are so many things unsaid between us. After all, you did leave me in Cyrodiil, and now you are suddenly here in Skyrim. It's like a weird dream, and I don't know if I dare to believe in it. Tell me, what are your thoughts on this all?
You're my best
You
friend.
have? Why did you then leave me behind? No, don't answer to that.
I can't remember.
I try to believe you because I want to believe you. But can I trust you? I don't know yet. You mean so much to me, but you have to give me time. You see, when you left, my whole world almost fell apart. I have never felt so lost in my whole life. Now you're back, but for how long? Right now, I cannot fully believe that you will be here also tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. Therefore, I think we should start from scratch, and then time will tell if what we had back in Cyrodiil will be strong enough for Skyrim as well.
Well, it's not too much of a question of
course.
where I went. Apparently the hero of Oblivion became Shiragad, the mad god. So of course they didn't stay your friend. I have loaded up a mod which adds in a weight for arrows and gold, so each item of gold now costs 0.1 weight, and each arrow I think weighs 0.2 or
Talk
0.3.
later.
So I can't just weigh myself down with arrows and gold, otherwise I start walking around like this. Fortunately I do have two mules
I
behind
wouldn't
me.
want to be a greybeard.
I have quite a few items of gold. I've got over 1,000 gold at the moment,
Living
and
your
because
entire
that's
life without
0.1
speaking to a friend
each,
or a loved
each
one.
coin is 0.1, that weighs over 100
Yes?
pounds.
Of course.
I would say 1 pound of gold is 10 gold pieces, so each of these gold coins is around just over an ounce of gold, yet it can still only buy an apple. You still need 9 ounces of gold to buy an apple.
Anytime.
That's a funny thing about Elder Scrolls. Why is gold so valuable? When ebony's rare, glass is rare, why is gold so prized? At least silver has properties to kill werewolves, and ebony's strong and glass is see-through plus it's super light, but what properties does gold have? Here we are, we're outside Higher Hrothgar again. What I want to do is just quickly read the last emblems that I missed last time.
I wouldn't want to.
There's one next to this statue.
Besides, how on earth would I grow a grey
This statue's
beard?
about Tiber Septim, I think. For all years silent, Greybeard spoke one name. Tiber Septim, stripling who was summoned to High Hrothgar. They blessed him and named him Dovahkiin. So Tiber Septim, the first emperor of Tamriel, was taught by the Greybeards. We spoke about him earlier. He shouted down the wall of the Reachmen. And then he became acknowledged as the Emperor of the world. Jürgen Windcaller. That was about Jürgen Windcaller shouting down 17 compatriots.
What a nutcase.
Here it is. Last emblem. Tongues at Red Mountain were humbled. Jürgen Windcaller began his 7-year meditation to understand how strong voices could fall.
I'm not happy fighting.
I'm going to save the bother of having to walk all the way down this 7,000 steps because it's going to be quite dull. I don't even think there's a troll to kill. I shall use fast travel. I know I said I wasn't going to use fast travel, but I'm going to save everyone the boredom of having to walk all the way down the steps. There's going to be nothing there, and in the dark there's no scenery either. So we'll go straight down to Ivestad and save ourselves a journey. We'll then decide where to go next. I'm not going to be a fan of heading to do the next mission. That's pretty far away. Oostengrad, or the Horn of Jürgen Windcaller, is towards Solitude, and I don't want to go there. I'm thinking that I should perhaps head down to Riften, maybe even head to finish Villager's Quest, or start on Villager's Quest, because I'm sure it's going to be quite a long one. Riften, of course, is the Thieves Guild are located. I've never played the Thieves Guild storyline, so that will be new to me as well. You can apparently do some quite cool stuff with the Thieves Guild. The further you progress in their storyline, the more you upgrade their lair. Because at the start, the Thieves Guild lair is pretty ragtag. They live in a sewer. I know they're thieves, but if you were a master thief, I'm sure that you'd consider yourself a failure in life if you had to live in a sewer. Not much to do but to get some food from this guy. It's going to be a long trip to Riften. I do not have any carriages, horse and carriages. I might introduce that mod in later on. I'm not sure if it'll interfere with the towns and cities mods I've got at the moment though. I'm sure the most it will do is cause some clipping issues. I don't think it will delete any of the town or cause any crashes, but I want to be absolutely sure. The last time I introduced a mod, it was a nightmare to find out exactly which one was causing the problems. Let's get a bed or a room for the night.
We don't get many visitors through here.
Let me think.
Unless they're headed up. What does this look
I think
like?
I'll be back
The
to
Temple
Poland
of Mara?
very happy if the
No
feud
gold,
between my family
no
and
bed.
Raymond's would come to an end.
If you pass through again, stop by for a drink.
Yes, I
Hiya.
gave my gold to Villager.
Of course.
See, she said she didn't trust me, and I gave her 1,776 ounces of gold. I'll just
Shall we
need round about
continue?
500.
Need a
Your
room?
stone arm doesn't
Sure
seem
thing.
much into
It's
small
yours for a day.
things.
Saw it again. That's ghost. It was over by the
Drink
Now
river.
it's
for
your
the
turn.
thirsty,
You
food
must
for
have
the
picked
hungry.
up some gossip as well.
I think I'll take some ingredients for... Ooh, Argonian blood wine, that's interesting. Must be new. I'll take some salt, because that's quite useful. I can cook some of my venison and my leg of goat. Venison weighs £2 and goat weighs £1, so it does weigh me
I'll
down.
show you to your room.
Oh, Villager and
Right
Lydia
this
are
way.
talking
You
together
already
again.
know all that I know.
Don't be silly. You must have overheard some rumor somewhere. Everyone has.
Well,
Let me know.
did see
if there's
something
anything
interesting
else
not
you
long
need.
ago. There were several Khajiit camped outside the walls of Whiterun. Seems they've been traveling around the whole of Skyrim peddling their wares. You've got
Let
what
me
might
know
have
if I can get you
been
anything.
something like that with dragons on the loose and a war going on?
Uh-huh. Interesting.
That's what I thought.
Where do they get her dialogue from? I've never heard Lydia say these things when she was my follower.
Pardon me, my lord. Would you care to hear me play my
I don't
lute?
want to hear your lute. You overcharge for it.
Yes.
Okay, hang around my bedroom. Not suspicious at all.
What makes this smell?
This book, Ancestors and the Dunmer, it's quite an interesting book about the Dark Elves actually and what they do. The Dark Elves are ancestor worshippers, so as well as worshipping the Daedra, they also worship their own ancestors, so their grandparents, their mothers, their fathers, and they have family shrines as well. And these shrines are occasionally known as the Waiting Door or the Doorway to Oblivion. As opposed in the real world, the people in the Elder Scrolls know there's an Oblivion and they know there's an afterlife. So usually the dead body of the ancestor is interred in the City of the Dead or a proper graveyard, but occasionally some of the remains may be bound to a ghost fence. And the ghost fence that was in Morrowind was made by lots of bones of the ancestors of Morrowind. So Vivek basically dug up everyone and made them into the fence, locking Red Mountain away. There's also a note saying that spirits don't particularly like being bound to this world and prefer the spirit world, and if they're stuck in this world too long they go mad. Although they don't harm their clan, they harm intruders, i.e. you, the player character. The book goes on to describe the difference of opinion between humans and dark elves, and even the other elves. Humans think that the dark elves are quite barbaric, and basically practice some form of necromancy, but the dark elves of course abhor necromancy, although they do practice it on humans who they consider just animals. They would never consider necromancy on their own kind. So that Val's Veron character that we killed, he was just practicing on animals. If you've played Morrowind though, you'll notice that their temples have bones in the temples on full display. And apparently every culture finds that quite weird. I did find that weird, that a temple would have bones around, but apparently that's Dark Elf culture. Of course all the cultures in the Elder Scrolls are really odd. The Bosmer, for example, they eat their dead, they're totally cannibalistic despite being so small. The last few pages describe the fact that Telvanni are good necromancers, but even they now acknowledge that all types of necromancy are wrong. And of course the ghost fence that surrounded Red Mountain has now been dissolved completely. But that makes for some nice bedtime reading. I won't steal that book, and I shall give my character a bit of a rest before we go on with our adventure. It's funny because I always thought when I played Morrowind that the ghost fence that surrounded Red Mountain was some sort of amazing power by Vivek, but it turns out that he wasn't actually behind it all. Instead he was sacrificing Dunmer ancestors and binding them to this world away from the spirit world to raise up this fence.
Yes.
So in a way it does show just what kind of a person that Vivek and the tribunal were. They weren't heroic leaders, they were just leaders who sacrificed other people to do their bidding.
I'll tell you, Wilhelm, if I could sweep her away from here tomorrow, I'd do it. But Klimek still has so much to learn.
Klimek is doing just fine. You should follow your heart.
Perhaps one day, but not today.
I'm so
It sounds like those NPCs actually have another part to play or another mission attached, but I haven't found it.
Pardon me,
If
my
you're
lord.
headed up to the
Would you
monastery,
care to hear me play my
watch
lute?
your step. It's a long way down.
You don't look like a pilgrim. Why bother visiting
I've spoken
Ivarstead?
to him before.
Keep an eye out for wolves if you're headed up the path to High Hrothgar.
Faulkner, yeah, he was someone we met going up the path. No new dialogue though.
Those bears are making Miss Timber so angry. I hope you can do something about them.
Oh yes, the lumber mill is owned by someone called
Yes?
Timber Her Arms Wide. I think that's a Star Trek reference. And she has a mission for you to kill as many bears as possible. I don't know. I don't like that idea of... Yeah, I don't like that mission. I wouldn't kill bears. Only if I have to.
Someone will give us a quest to do.
I'm just wondering if I need to make myself anything else. I have got plenty of leather now, so I could make myself some more equipment.
Have you heard any interesting rumors of late?
Let me think. There should be some kind of security block or scrolls. Once I activated one by accident. Lightning bolts can be really devastating inside a shop.
Interesting. Anything else?
I think Arthur Batterball will be very happy if the feud between the family and the Raymans will come to an end.
Indeed.
Now, how about you? Have you heard any news lately?
I can't remember.
Oh, I'm sure you got something up your sleeve.
Well, there might be nothing to it, but I've heard that the feud between the Greymans and the Battleborns in Whiterun has grown ugly.
Yes, so they say.
I'll not argue that.
These little conversations that Lydia and Vilja have are brilliant. I might swap Lydia away because I'm sure that Vilja has conversations with other people, other companions that you have as well. Okay, let's take a look at the world map. There's our destination that the Greybeards want me to go, but they didn't give me a time limit. They didn't say I had to go there straight away. I won't. I'll go my own sweet way. There's a couple of towns I could explore, Raven Nest, but I'm not going to explore them right now. I don't really want to go to the Barrow to do an adventure either, because I know this is a bit of a spoiler, but that Barrow is absolutely huge. It's the biggest barrow around. If I'm going to do a barrow, I'm going to do a fairly short mission. I don't feel like doing a 2-hour dungeon crawl again, fighting against Draw. I want some other opposition.
I love the serenity of this place.
Right, that signpost directed us to Riften, so we can just walk down here. This is what the climate of Tamriel should be more like. Climate of Skyrim, I mean. If you go up north in Skyrim, it's just completely frozen tundra, and you wonder how anyone can survive up there.
Definitely not. You will be
Bear.
so dead.
Okay. Sword and shield time. He damaged me quite a lot. In fact, I think he almost killed me. There's not going to be too much I can do. It's quite realistic. If I get hit by a bear, I'm going to die. So I'm just going to run off and let my friends deal with it. I seem to be a magnet for attacks anyway, so I don't feel so bad. Okay, that bear's down. I could bring the bear skin to Temba, but I don't need to. I'm not going to do her little mission. Poor bear. Bear claws are a alchemic ingredient. I think they restore your stamina. I've got plenty of restore stamina potions at the moment though.
Caverns. Far too much work for not much profit. I
might take Vilja up on her advice. It's true, creature caverns don't really give you that much. They are quite small though. They don't give you too much treasure. They might give me some bear skins, but that's about it. Perhaps this is why they had a bear cave right next to Temba. That's the woman who wants you to kill so many bears.
What is love handles? Have I got love handles?
When Vilja starts to get sickeningly annoying, I will switch off her dialogue, but right now she's still relatively new and fresh. There's a couple of villages I can see on my compass. A wolf chasing a deer.
I wonder who raised the giants. I mean, There don't seem to be any giant mothers. Guess that's why giants haven't been taught to bath every week.
My character's actually super fast compared to the animals. You can get mods that increase the pace of the animals, so they're more of a realistic speed. Right now my character, even though he's wearing full armor...
I suppose the manicure is out of the question.
Yeah, okay, Vilja. Even though I'm wearing full armor, I can still run faster than a fox. Or a wolf.
We are a good team, don't you think so?
When they made this Skyrim and they made it with children, they were actually really bothered that someone might go around killing the children. That might be too violent. But I didn't find any animal rights people being bothered about all the animals being killed. The ground just shook then. I think there's a dragon around. I could do with a dragon fight. There's the dragon. I think it's going away though. It's certainly not going to attack us at the moment. The dragons of course have their own AI, so they go off and attack NPCs, they go off and attack wolves and giants especially.
I tried so hard to get better at spellcasting, but I just don't seem to have that in me.
Right, I have an option to go... I could go to Whiterun, don't really want to go there, let's go to Riften. So we're heading down river basically.
When I see farmers and think of what happened to the near mythical snow elves, well, then I feel ashamed to be a Nord.
Well, the Nords didn't really do anything that the Falmer didn't deserve. The Falmer tried to slaughter the Nords, and the Nords did it back to them. I thought that was fair enough.
Why don't bandits ever have enough food? We got food, and all they have is one measly carrot. No.
Wolves are so passive. 2 more pieces of leather. Right, I think that's going to be enough wolf killing. I don't really need any more pieces of leather. Who is this?
There's been word of some trouble nearby. I'm on my way to investigate.
Where are you headed?
I probably shouldn't tell everyone who asks. This is important business, you know.
Fair enough. I could persuade you.
No, I think I've got this one. Thanks, though.
Oh no, I've got this one. Okay, posh mercenary person. Of course I could have persuaded her, but that would have cost me over 100 gold, and I don't think I would have actually received much for that. All you usually get if you talk to the mercenaries is they give you a quest location, and if it costs me 150 gold to go on a quest that gets me around 100 gold, it's not going to be worthwhile. There's plenty of missions anyway, and I'll of course run into more mercenaries as I go along. At one point I did have the Travellers mod, which had hundreds of groups, well not hundreds, round about 50 groups of travellers going back and forth, and that included mercenaries. Right, we're still quite far away from Riften, but we're quite close to another barrow. We haven't seen much action for now, so I'm tempted to take it. What do you guys think? Let's explore anyway.
Elvish armor is the best, I think. Especially for a girl.
Angevard. Sounds very Nordic Ruinish. Looks like there used to be some sort of camp over here.
This is
It's
fun,
abandoned,
isn't
though.
it?
Okay, there's a book, A Dance in the Fire. These books normally improve your speechcraft, but because I've got that skill grinding mod, I don't get any improvement from just reading a book. This book, I'll only summarise very briefly because it's very lengthy and there's lots of other parts to it. But it's about this Imperial agent that's assigned to negotiate a rebuilding commission in Valenwood. Valenwood is the home of the Wood Elves, or the Bosmer in the Elder Scrolls. The purpose of this agent is basically to make as much money off the Bosmer as possible for the Imperials. And the first part of the story is basically just about the custom of the Bosmer and how they don't have any vegetables, they just eat meat, and even their alcohol and drink is based on meat juices, which doesn't sound particularly pleasant, but obviously they like it. But Scotty, who's the Imperial agent and the narrator of the story, seems to sort out the initial meeting with the Bosmer anyway. Two of his colleagues pack him off and agree to stay behind because they've been assigned this great honour called Thrapper. Scotty doesn't really think very much of it, so he heads back to Cyrodiil, back to the Imperial City, and he negotiates with the Imperials that are interested in the rebuilding project. And these rebuilding projects take a long time to come around, and during this time Scotty gains a lot of bribes and a lot of gold for just delaying the process. And he keeps on getting letters from the other two Imperial agents that are left behind saying, what's the delay, what's going on over there? But Scotty doesn't mind because he's got this negotiation sewn up, he's worked out both sides, he's working both sides, so he's making money off it, he doesn't really mind. Eventually though, the Imperial throne steps in and decides to kill one of the main people that's holding up through the Dark Brotherhood. So eventually the game is up and Scotty's forced to go ahead with the rebuilding, and this all proceeds, and there's a banquet to celebrate. And Scotty and all the lords and people sit down to this massive banquet, and the centre of this massive banquet is a really fabulous dish, and they're eating away at this delicious dish which everyone agrees is fantastic and is the tastiest thing they've ever eaten, when Scotty cuts it open, notices a ruby inside it. And it happens that that ruby belonged to the Imperial agents that they left behind. And that is the twist in the tale, because Scotty asked, what on earth is this? And the person organising the dish said, this is a dish known as Thrapper, which happens to be the honour, of course, that was awarded the Imperial agents. And the Cyrodiil people carry on eating it, unknowing that they're committing cannibalism, which is the twist in the tale. Next book appears to be some sort of journal, the Journal of Madrissa Dran. She has found Angavund, which apparently holds great treasure, and she can't wait. Of course we know how these kind of things turn out. Ancient tomb, ancient treasure. Sounds very familiar, just like the Golden Claw. There was supposed to be great treasure there, but there was just a word war and some undead Nords. But okay, we have the entrance just in front of us. It's into a cave, so I shall see you next time for Let's Play Modded Skyrim.